Hey y'all, it's Fifi, and I am not with Safi this time because we're trying something a little different. We decided it'd be cool to share our individual journeys with you, getting real up close and personal with each of us one on one. So let's dive right into it. For those of you who don't know, I am a 27-year-old cisgendered woman of mixed race, Puerto Rican heritage and ancestry, born and raised in New York City, Bronx, Harlem, and Yonkers in a lower middle class household. I am a pansexual, queer, polyamorous, kinky person, and my come to journey is centered around sexuality. A lot of it is. All of that being said, let me give you some background as to why we are deciding to try this out. And it's, in essence, a form of protest against the idea that we have to conform to any version of the standard. And the way we can exercise our right to be unique and different is by sharing the ways in which we each do that in our own lives. And so by me telling you how I came to become an openly polyamorous, freaky lady, maybe that can resonate with other people who may be struggling the same way that I did to come out in those ways. For me, acknowledging the privilege that I have, the skin color privilege, the pretty privilege that I am able-bodied, has made it so that the most consistent complexity in my life has been centering around my sexuality. And so what that means is that I was in combat with the norms that were presented to me, the acceptable ways of being that were taught to me in my home, in my communities, in the education that I received, in the media that I consumed, and the general mainstream didn't show me representations of queer Latina femmes that enjoyed the things that I do. So I didn't want to conform to the gender norms. I didn't want to be subservient to the machismo, the white cis hetero male standard that we all have to. We don't really have a choice in that. If you are a person living in modern United States, the standard is that. And you can see that in just the way, even just the way things are designed. And these are things I didn't learn until much later, that this world is not designed for my physical body. So by the time I became a young adult, I found my vices and my ways of coping with this complexity that I couldn't find a way to reconcile with at the time. And I know today that the reason for that was because I didn't have a community that embraced who I felt I was, which was this non-monogamous, sexually boundless female who knew what she wanted, who wanted to be demanding, who wanted to be boisterous and adventurous and challenge people's thoughts and views and opinions. That version of myself didn't feel super welcome because of these standards that I knew I couldn't meet, not just norms and ways of comporting in a behavioral way as a femme, but also like the standards of beauty that I grew up consuming and ingesting and believing. So eating disorders and drug and alcohol abuse are a part of my story. I have since put that down and had to find new ways to approach who I thought I was and the way I related to the rest of the world. Because at that point, I got myself in enough trouble and physical harm. I placed myself in enough dangerous situations where I had to take a hard look at where am I getting these beliefs from, and can I challenge them, and can I change them, and can I exist in this world as a different kind of person, as the version of myself that I feel is more authentic to who I am. Yeah, I just had to challenge all of that. So I went out and I started to look for places that felt authentic to me. And God bless that I live in New York fucking city, where I found my people. I found sex positive spaces in New York City, where for the first time in my life, I was in spaces that prioritized vulva having pleasure. In the first time where it was encouraged for menstruating humans to advocate for what they wanted, for their pleasure, to indulge, a true hedonism in the best sense. And so there was an I had arrived moment when I found these spaces and these people and this community. And yet, to my surprise, it did not fix everything. It didn't exempt me from engaging in transactional relationships where I found it a fair exchange for me to give my body and my physical presence for their admiration and validation and attention. And I had to look at how I was really valuing myself when I did that. And was it really worth it? Also, where I come from and my culture, like as out as I was on these streets, I was not out back home. As a person of color and being from the Bronx and coming home to a community that these ways of thinking are supremely taboo, and my language and heritage isn't super welcoming to a lot of these behaviors and ways of thinking and just open sexuality. So there was this kind of double existence that I was living, and still to, some extent, like that I applied discretion in my life, and that I think that is a good thing. But it has taken a while, a number of years, to reach a point where I am unapologetic about who I am, what do I enjoy, and what I like to do, and also find where I had to draw the boundaries and when to say no to things. Having the privilege to experience all the things, I ended up with myself at the end of the night and thought, how does this enrich who I am and what I have to offer to the world? And it's an existential question that is important to me. So that's when I decided to heal even further and accept the path of continuous improvement. And not just that, but accepting the responsibility that I felt was missing after enough self-indulgence, which is that, okay, now I've been given this gift, I'd like to share it with others. And sharing who I am, where I came from, and the work that I'm doing to heal and release and let go of all the garbage I have to unlearn, also helps to undo the idea that we have to sacrifice and invest in a system that first and foremost feeds off of keeping me sick to stay wealthy, right? So we don't need to pay and adhere to these ideas that keep us subservient. We can just gather and see the similarities and share tips and experiences. And this does not exempt us from doing hard work with professionals, but there is a joy that we are all entitled to. And I found that as much as I found joy in my physical liberation and breaking the ties between how I present and the rules, the conceptions that are applied to me out in the world as it exists, that once I break those ties and celebrate all of that relinquishment, the joy behind letting that go is that much more when I can share it with others, when I can be in camaraderie and say, fuck the messaging that I did not choose to believe in, and find ways to confirm our authentic selves amongst each other. That's where all of this is coming from. That's why I'm out here sharing this with y'all today. And next week, Safi's going to come and share a little bit about what his background is and what his journey has been and why he's doing what he's doing. And hopefully some of y'all can relate and derive some energy, some positive vibes. And we'll talk to you then. Okay, bye.